Yeah.
How's the family? How's everything going?
Ah, great, man. Couldn't be better. Life is fantastic.
Yeah. That's
I
good.
like life, man.
You do, really?
Oh my God! People that complain about it. First of all, you're lucky enough to be alive. When you think about it, you know what I'm saying. Your mother had to have sex with your father. That your grandparents had to have sex. Great-grandparents had to have sex. It's lucky you're alive, my God.
It's amazing.
And I'm so happy every day that I'm alive because it's just a fluke. There's so many more people that never got to be alive. You know? And,
that's an interesting point. I guess you're right. If you do the math.
So when people carp about it, I'm like, man, it's the greatest gig in the world, being alive. You get to eat at Denny's, wear a hat, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, get haircuts. It is. Well, good. I'm glad life is going well. I know.
Ridiculous.
Now, I've never asked you this before, and we've been good friends for many years. Ah. Okay, I made that up. But
no. We haven't?
No, we're friends. We're good friends. But I don't know what your... Macdonald, is that Irish? Is that Scottish? What's your ethnic background?
My ethnic background is Polish.
Are you really Polish? Wow.
Polish people,
I didn't realize that. Yeah. Macdonald, you don't...
Well, my parents changed their names. They had to because of the constant ribbing they'd get for being Polish, you know. And so they changed their name to Macdonald. But, you know, it's one of the things that you can, you know, I mean, I get a little upset about it, you know, because, you know,
all the Polish jokes and stuff.
you can't make jokes about other people, but for some reason you make jokes about Polish people, you know.
Right.
I don't like it.
Right. You shouldn't. That sounds bad, yeah.
I mean, I had an experience, you know. I go in and I order a Polish sausage, you know, from this guy, you know. And so the guy says to me, you must be Polish. And I said, come on, man. I mean, come on. Think about it, what you're saying. You know, I'm trying to knock some sense into this fellow's head, maybe give him a wider world view, you know?
Sure, yeah.
I said, you think because I order a Polish sausage, I'm Polish. I said, what if somebody came in here and ordered French toast? Would you think he was French, you know?
Right.
I mean, what if somebody came in here and ordered a Belgian waffle? Would you consider that guy a Belgian, you know? I mean, if a guy came in and ordered a German bratwurst, would you consider that fellow to be a German fella?
Right.
I said, what if a guy came in and ordered German potato salad? I suppose you'd think he was German too. Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, what if a guy...
Wow, you talked to this guy for a while.
I'm telling you, man. With racist, you have to get through
You have to really get it into their head. Right.
I said, if a guy came in and he ordered a Cuban hamburger, are you going to assume he's a Cuban?
Right.
I said, I think it is absolutely ridiculous that just because I come in here, I order a Polish sausage, why would you jump to the fact that I'm Polish?
Right.
And the guy says to me, well, first of all, it's a hardware store.
And you hate Polish jokes, don't you? You just hate them.
No, I think they're disgusting.
Let me ask you quickly, we haven't talked to you in so long, I want to ask you about your family.
My great family. I love them all.
How's your, we used to talk in the old days, you and I used to spin some yarns about Uncle Hector. How's Uncle Hector?
Oh, Uncle Hector. Uncle Hector.
He's Polish too, I'm guessing.
No, he wasn't Polish.
Oh, okay.
No, he was from my cousin's side of the family. And he was a great man, my uncle, you know. Right. He was an old fella. He actually rode the rails during the Depression.
Oh.
You know, he was a hobo.
Hobo.
As you might call him. I don't like that term, but whatever.
Tramp or whatever,
yeah,
what have you.
Railroad bum. But he wasn't a bum. He was just out. He was a good, honest man during the Depression searching for work, you know. And, you know, he had no money, so he'd travel the country trying to find work, and he actually rode the rails, Uncle Hector. And he told me, it was an interesting story, he'd go through, this was in Canada, and there's a town called Kitchener in Canada, and the railroad cops were tough, boy. They were tougher than real cops, you know. They had a law of their own, the railroad cops.
I feel like I should be tucked into bed listening to you. Anyway, a law of their own, those railroad cops.
But there was not a railroad cop tougher than Kitchener Leslie. Oh, boy. He was well known. He was well known for beating hobos to death.
Really? He found a hobo on his train. He beat him to death.
He beat him to death. And so what the railroad bums would all do is, as Kitchener approached, of course, oh, hey, Norm, how you doing? So,
wow, such focus on these stories.
That wasn't a mirror. That was another guy.
Oh, it was a guy named Norm.
Yeah. So the railroad bums would all hop off before they got to Kitchener to avoid being beaten to death by Kitchener Leslie.
Yeah.
Anyways, my Uncle Hector, a good man, you know, and he walked into a mine one day. This is a story for that I think the young people could learn from.
Don't go mine hopping, kids.
During the height of the Depression, where there was absolutely no work, my Uncle Hector walked into I won't say the name of the mining company. It was McIntyre Mine, and he walked in. He had his lunchbox with him and his work boots, and he said, "Sir," he said, "I want a job." And they said, "We have no jobs." He said, "Well, 500 people work here at McIntyre Mine." He goes, "I don't think there are 500 men here better than I." He says, "As a matter of fact, I don't think there are 200 men better than I." He says, I think you'd be strapped to find 100 men better than I." And by golly, he got the job. What do you think of that?
That's a great story.
Now,
I'm sensing there's more. Now back to Kitchener Leslie.
Yeah.
The most dreaded.
No. Uncle Hector. Uncle Hector.
What?
No, you want to talk about
sorry, I'm
Uncle
trying to help you out.
No, Uncle Hector.
Dad, where's this story going?
Uncle Hector worked in a mine, and it's a hellish job, the mine, as you well know. Darkness, you know.
It's dank. It's
dank.
Yeah.
It's coaly. It's a lot of.
What?
Well, you're in a coal mine.
It's not coaly. It's coal-ridden.
It's
coal-infested. It's not coaly.
It's coal-infested. So he worked in the mine, and by God, he worked hard. And after a week of working hard, he said to the shift manager, he said, "By golly, I'd like to have a lady. I work hard, and where would I find a lady here in town?" Well, they said to Uncle Hector, they says, we have sex with animals here. By God, says Uncle Hector, I'm not going to do that. I'm a normal fella. Well, then be to your own devices then. So,
be to your own devices?
Yeah.
Wow.
Uncle Hector continued working in the mine. He worked hard, and he worked long, and he worked for a low wage. But he was a man. And Uncle Hector, after a couple of weeks passed, he started to get a little itch, you know, as you and I say.
Right.
You know?
Right. When we're thinking about the
ladies,
yeah.
And, but he kept it under control. He went again. He said, "Are you sure there's no ladies here?" "No, we have sex with animals." "Ah, my God." 6 months passed, and Uncle Hector couldn't take it any longer, he told me.
Right.
He said, "By God, I just had to, I'm just a man, I'm weak, you know, I'm not a saint, you know, and I was born in sin, I suppose, and I couldn't resist. I just needed it." So he said he walked by a pasture, and there was a pig.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. And so Uncle Hector said, well, he said, "I walked up, and I began having sex with a pig." And he said, all of a sudden, he saw all the miners, like, around him, you know, looking at him. They go, "Uncle Hector, what the hell are you doing over there?" And Uncle Hector's like indignant. He's like, "What? Well, you're the guys that told me that you have sex with animals." They're like, "Uncle Hector, you damn fool. That's Kitchener Leslie's girlfriend." Of all the animals
to have sex with.
You don't want to have sex
and
with
Kitchener Leslie's pig. No, that's terrible.
Not Kitchener Leslie's pig. Kitchener Leslie's lady.
Oh, yeah. You tell quite a yarn, man.
Well, I had shorter ones, but...
There's no other guest tonight. That pretty much...
I have one other funny anecdote, and it's very short.
I don't think we can.
Here he is, the always entertaining Norm Macdonald, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I saw that show today, Norm. Very funny.
What show? The TV show?
Yeah, your TV show.
Oh, yeah,
congratulations. And by the way, you look very youthful. And how come we haven't seen you in 2 years?
Oh, how come I haven't been here in 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I've been busy. I got a kid, you know.
I know. How old
well, you got a kid?
Yeah, I do.
How old's Harry?
He's 7.
Yeah, man, they grow up so slow. You know, it's barely discernible. Isn't it?
Yes, how old is your son?
He's 18. They get far less cute.
Yeah.
They're
Good
not as cute when they're out on the lawn punching you in the chest.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's good to have you here.
Oh, it's good to be here,
and,
man.
in addition to the new show, the Norm Macdonald Sports Show, you have like your was it your first stand-up special?
Yes, I did a Comedy Central special.
Great.
One of 40 they did this year on Comedy Central. And but it was fun. But I got a weird time. They showed it at 11:30 and on Saturday, and it turned out that was during this thing called Earth Hour. I think some people know what it is.
Yeah.
On Earth Hour, you have to turn off your electricity. So.
Wow. That's horrible.
And as you know, and as I know, and as they apparently know, TVs are powered by electricity. Yeah. So, and furthermore, my key demographic is damn dirty hippies.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, you know, what are you going to do?
Took one on the chin there.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I'm very surprised and impressed about this, that you've built kind of like a Twitter following.
Yes, well, I'm an internet sensation.
Whoa. Now, I didn't take you for a guy that would know about that kind of
stuff. I know
stuff.
all about that stuff.
Really?
Man.
When did you start Twitter?
2 weeks ago.
Really?
But this is what I did it for the Oscars. The guy told me how to do it, and I was watching the Oscars, and you know how horrible those were. And so it was pretty easy to do just jokes constantly on how horrible everyone was, you know. And you know, and some of the things were nice, like it was nice to see Kirk Douglas, of course, you know, and he had that terrible stroke, which didn't affect his comic timing at all. But so I twittered, and I ended up twittering 190 tweets.
Whoa!
And it turns out it's way too much.
Really?
So people started telling me to stop. Anyways, get this, just earlier this happened, right before we came on the show. I walked out here. Yeah. I'm in some kind of Twitter feud with Steve Martin.
I know that Steve also actively Twitters.
Yeah. So this is what happened. Dig this. You know how to tweet?
No.
You don't know how to tweet?
No.
Where you been? He writes a tweet. I misunderstand it. I reply.
Well, let's hear what he says.
What he said?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is what he said. I'm not really that great at it, but he said, "Has anybody seen my hat?" Now, I'm looked everywhere for it. I can't find my hat.
Right.
So I say, was it a brown fedora with a red hat band? But what I didn't know is he sent a twit pic.
Stop right there. Let me just say, if this is an example of Twitter communication, it's invaluable.
What do you think I should answer him? This is the last thing he said to me. He goes, this just came in 9 seconds ago. He goes, still mulling over this tweet from Norm to me. It's so enigmatic. Is it a put down?
Honestly, I mean, he lost a hat, right?
Yeah.
And then you responded, is it with a red hat band?
Yeah.
None of this makes any sense.
Yeah, it's a generational thing.
Oh, that's it. I guess so. Well, what isn't?
Now, I will tell you what's cool about the internet and being an internet sensation and stuff. On the YouTube now, everybody, you know, I don't know if you remember, but there's and did you ever hear the Andy Williams quote? In the future, everybody will be famous for 25 minutes.
Yes, I think it was Andy Warhol.
Huh?
Andy Williams was Moon River.
Oh.
Andy, it's a generational thing. Yeah. Okay.
But here's the thing. Like, for instance, have you ever heard of Harrison Schmitt?
No.
Okay. He walked on the moon.
I didn't know that.
Right. An astronaut.
Right.
A guy who walked on the moon. There's very few people that have been in the position to go, hey, where's the moon? There it is.
Right. Well, you're right. That's a good point.
Right. Now, so 12 people have landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. Who else?
Right.
So this Harrison Schmitt fella must be going, what the hell do I have to do to get famous?
Yeah.
Right? Meanwhile, the Kardashians, we know Khloe, we know...
It's awful.
Yeah, Lois.
Lois Kardashian.
All of them.
We'll be right back with Norm Macdonald, everybody. I don't know. You can tweet Steve Martin. Can you tweet him right now?
I can tweet him, yeah.
Or just tell him that I said hi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that you're on the show and we're talking about him. And
okay, awesome.
I said hi.
Awesome.
And add this. I'm sorry about the hat.
You know what's great also while I do this, I'll tell you this. The great thing about the blogosphere. Now, the great thing is this, that you have friends, you see what I mean? Yeah. Now, on the computer, I have about 160,000 friends.
Whoa.
In real life, I have 2. But I actually like my friends on the blogosphere here, because this is the thing. Like they can go like in real life, right? Your friend will go, hey, my grandmother died this morning, and then you go, oh, good. Do you want to come over to my house and talk about it for 4 hours? And then on this thing, your friend can go, hey, my grandmother died today, and then you go, unfollow.
Now, Norm, are you? Do I remember that you were?
I'm talking to Steve Martin.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, if you just get that over to him by Labor Day, that'd be. Do you still gamble? Somebody told me that you did. Or did we know that?
Yeah, I used to gamble.
You don't gamble anymore.
No, I gamble anymore.
Was it a problem? Did it get to be a problem?
Yeah, it got to be a problem, man. And then I tried to do it smart. Every time I tried to do it smart, a bad thing would happen.
Like
you know?
What do you mean?
Well, one time I was trying to handicap baseball, you know, which you can actually beat baseball if you handicap it properly. So I was trying to handicap, and I figured it out for like 3 hours, and I went down to the book in Mirage, the sports book, went up to the fella, you know, and there was a guy beside me, a big fat guy, you know, and he was dressed like real rich, you know, and he opened a big attaché case filled with $10,000 chips, pulls out like $750,000, and he's going to bet on this boxer, you know, a fighter, you know?
Yeah.
And it was a 4-to-1 underdog. So I said, I'm not going to bet my baseball bet. I'll just bet on this 4-to-1 underdog, you know?
He must know something.
Yeah, because this guy must know something. He's probably in the mafia. So I go and watch the boxing match, Dave, and the guy, my guy that I bet on, gets knocked out in 25 seconds. Oh,
no. Whoa.
So I go back to the book. I go, what, that guy from the mafia? What? He goes, that guy's not from the mafia. He goes, that's old long shot Louis. He goes, he's a rich guy, loves long shots.
Well, there's just no winning, is there?
No, there's no winning. Nobody ever wins.
Now, this sports show with Norm Macdonald premieres, you know, it's my birthday, April 12th.
That's your birthday?
I saw it this afternoon. Very funny show, and I think it's going to be a huge hit for you.
You want to hear a sports joke?
Yeah.
Oh, you like racing cars, right? Yeah. How about that Daytona 500? Yeah. How about that kid that won? Right. How old was he?
Like 20?
Yeah. He raced all around. You know why he went so fast, apparently? He was texting the whole time. It's generational.
The show premieres April 12th on Comedy Central. Sports show with Norm Macdonald. Great pleasure to see you.
It's great to see you, man.
Don't wait 2 years to come back. Welcome back to C.C. Sabathia, ladies and gentlemen.
I live at 56 between 8th and Broadway.
Okay, and what's your phone number? Just give me 7 digits. All right. What, your neighbors nice people? The people that live around you?
Great people. Every day I meet somebody new, you know. This city's great because of the neighborly people, you know. I don't know. But I did meet one neighbor, interesting story, you know, that this guy he just moved in, you know, next door to me. So I'm always one to meet the neighbors.
You like to chat with the neighbors,
Yeah, because, you know, so I went over to the guy, knocked on the door next door to where I live, and I say to the guy, I said, hey, I'm your new neighbor, you know, and I said, good to see you, you know, nice to run into you, you know, welcome to the neighborhood, you know. And so the guy, I said, what do you do for a living there, sir? You know, if you don't mind me asking. You know, what do you do for a living? I'm a nightclub comic, I tell the guy. So he says to me, he says, I work down at the University of Science there. He says, that's
a good school, by the way.
I can't remember the exact place.
Sure.
But he says, I'm a professor of logic. So he says to the guy, he says, logic. Now, what the hell is that? I never heard tell of that. He says, oh, well, he says it's a kind of a pattern of syllogistic. Well, he says it's hard to explain. He says, why don't I give you an example? So I said, fair enough. Why don't you do that? So the guy says, well, he says, let me ask you a question. He says, do you own a doghouse? So I go, yes, I do. He says, well, then that means you probably have a dog. I said, yes. He says, well, that means you're likely you have a family if you have a dog. I said, yes, I do. He said, well, then that means you got kids, you're married. I said, yes, yes, I am. He says, well, then you're a heterosexual man. I said, yes, sir, I am. He says, well, you see, that's logic there. I asked if simply from finding out you had a doghouse, I made this series of inferences, and I found that you're a heterosexual man simply from the fact that you had a doghouse. Well, I said, good God, isn't that something?
Okay.
So I said, well, I won't waste any more of your time there, neighbor. And I said, I'll see you later.
See you around. Okay.
So I said, come by one day and have a chicken with me. So anyways, I left. So I left. So I go to get a bus, you know, to the bus stop. And I walk down to the bus stop, and I'm still thinking about this thing that happened to me, you know. And I'm standing at the bus, and no bus coming at all, you know, and 5 or 6 of us standing around, and one guy lights up a cigarette there, and he goes, as soon as you light up a cigarette, the bus comes. And he smokes the whole damn cigarette, no bus comes.
Right.
So I said to the guy, well, that theory really worked, huh? And the guy goes, well, sometimes it works. Anyways, the guy goes, what's new with you? I go, well, I had an interesting thing happen to me today. I said, I met my neighbor. And he goes, oh, yeah? I go, he had a hell of an interesting job. I said, he's a professor of logic down at the University of
Science.
And so the guy says, is that so? He says, professor of logic. He goes, what the hell is that, logic? I said, well, it's a series of something or other.
Right.
I said, I can't remember exactly, but I said, I'll give you an example if you want to hear an example. So the guy goes, all right, fair enough. So I said, let me ask you this. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you own a doghouse? And the guy goes, no, I don't own a doghouse. So the guy says, oh, yeah, you're one of them gays.
And it worked, right? What great stuff you can learn at that
nice.
University of Science there.
And then the guy, get this. Get this.
There's more.
This gay guy invites me to have a chicken at his place.
That's some kind of euphemism. Watch out. All right. Saturday Night Live.
It's one coming up on October 19th. You guys got Bill Pullman and New Edition. That's going to be a good show.
That's going to be great.
That's going to rock and roll.
Oh.
All right. Norm Macdonald, God dang, one of my favorite guests. Thank you for coming. Norm Macdonald, everybody. Steve Buscemi. The Connells are coming up. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the program. My guest tonight, a very funny comedian and actor, is on Saturday Night Live for many years. His new show is Fox's A Minute with Stan Hooper.
Hey, you don't just come in here uninvited. I knocked. Hey, Gary. What are you doing?
I'm getting your bed ready.
Well, we don't want roses on our bed. We don't live like this, Gary.
Yes, you do.
Gary, it's lovely, but that'll be all for tonight.
Oh, okay, Mrs. H. Well, if you need me, I'll be in my quarters.
Oh, where are your quarters?
Why would we need him?
They're right next door.
The house has 5 bedrooms, Gary.
Yes, and mine is next to yours.
Please welcome Norm Macdonald. Norm!
Hello! Hey, Johnny. That clip didn't seem that entertaining.
That's not the whole show, is it?
That's the best part.
You picked that out especially for
I
us?
miss you, Johnny.
I miss you. TV is better in my mind.
Congratulations.
Stop it.
On
TV
your
is better.
Academy Award.
Don't even talk about it. Just wait.
Ah, you won an Emmy.
Wait till the tribulations come out. We're going to be top-notch. By the way, you are the first guest to sit in our new couch. Talk to me about...
This is some couch, I'll tell you that, man.
What do you think?
I'd it. That's the highest compliment you can pay a couch.
It is a high compliment. It's just that we have a minivan of nuns that is... Have you ever felt a couch that you felt that way before this couch?
No, this is the first one, man. I'm a normal fella, you know.
Uh-huh. Do you think it's the ultra suede?
It may be the, it has a alluring come-hither look.
It has a bit of a nice slant to it, I believe.
It's a goddamn whore, let's be honest. No, it's a nice couch. It's a nice couch. I don't mean to disparage the couch.
Now, we were talking backstage. You mentioned Arnold. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just telling that I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. You love Arnold Schwarzenegger? I can already see him turning the state around. And I thought it was very unfair when people said that he wasn't qualified for the office, you know,
Really?
because they said, you know, because he's a movie star, you know, an action hero, you know, that shouldn't qualify him to be governor of California.
Mm-hmm.
But what they don't remember is, and maybe I'm wrong with this, but wasn't he at one point in his life Mr. Universe?
That's right. Well, yeah. You bring up a cogent point.
I mean, this is a tiny state on a globe in the Milky Way.
Right. Right. Just to to see the big picture. Exactly. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
You know, you're a smart fellow. You should think about running for office with that.
Well, I do feel that one day I might do that. In all humility, I think that I might have some ideas, you know.
Really? Yeah.
But you know, I'm not ready yet. I think you have to prepare for these things.
Yeah.
So I started weightlifting.
Yeah. You're working out. You look good, I guess.
Yeah, I got my abs.
Yeah. Are those abs? Are they supposed to stick out like that? I thought the abs went in. I didn't realize. So your abs are so powerful, they're actually coming forward. Wow, that's amazing.
And they're hairy.
Your hairy abs. Yeah. I don't want to see it.
But I don't even know what I'm supposed to do when I get the abs, really. Do you just show them to people?
Did you injure yourself? Did you?
You know, I worked out, man. I went to this trainer. He was a personal trainer. Yeah. And this guy, man, I don't know if you've ever lifted weights. You look like you have, you know?
Yeah, I think,
But, no, he looks like a strong guy. But I went there, and I'd never lifted weights, you know, and I was new to it. And so the idea is you take the weight, you're like, ah, and you lift it up, and then you put it down.
Right, yeah.
And then right away, you go, ah, you lift it again. And you put it down. And you do this 20 times,
right.
And then the weight's where it was when it started, you know. And then...
so you don't really gain anything.
You gain,
no.
the weight is the same place, and your muscles hurt, you're all sore and everything. And very repetitious, you know. It's It's the same problem I have with sex. I know it's too much of the same.
Too much of the same. Yeah.
You can't get into it. And so then this character, my trainer, finally after 2 weeks of like lifting these crazy amounts of weights, I go, geez, I think I finally it's getting a little easier. He goes, I'll put more weight on it. I go, what? Then I'm like, it's the same thing again.
Just a never-ending cycle.
I know.
Did you hurt yourself?
Like
Did you slip a
like
disc or
in
something?
sex, if you finally figure that out, it's not like they bring a heavier lady in.
Right. I guess that's true. Get a bigger girl? I'd like to take a break. More with Norm right after this. Bring it a heavier lady.
He anchors the Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live, and he has recently quit the nasty habit of smoking. Norm Macdonald. Norm! Now, you're a young iconoclast, Norm. You know, the kids, they get you.
What? I was going to wear a suit, and I
don't need to. I like this whole D.B. Cooper look for you, man. This is... Now,
is he the guy that jumped out of the plane?
No, no. He's married to Alice Cooper. Now, the thing remember you wrote for my first talk show?
Yeah, you gave me my first
And I used
job.
to come in the room, and you and Drake Sather had no lights on. It was like some fucking Anton LaVey Satan cult in there, and you guys used to turn out the sickest jokes ever, and everybody was always smoking. Then I see you on Saturday Night Live during the opening credits, and one of the things I like about you is you're completely unfiltered on that show. You'll say anything, and I saw in the picture you had a cigarette in your mouth. I thought, this guy just doesn't give a shit. So I asked you to come on. I find out you pussed out on me and quit smoking. What is that all about?
No, because it's bad for you. They have these fucking things on the side. You have to read the fine print where it says, it's bad.
Now, when did you first start smoking?
I started smoking as a kid, like when I was, I think I was like 14, and I thought, I'll look really cool, like if I start smoking, because I didn't get along with anybody. So I started smoking. Wouldn't you know it, I did look cool. All of a sudden, all these broads like me and everything. Not broads, but ladies, girls, women. And it was hard though, man, because I was guilty about it all the time I smoked, because I always thought, you know, I always knew it was bad for me, you know? Like, even though some guys will say that it's good because their uncle lived long or something, he smoked, you know, and they'll go, hey, what about, you know, that old guy, you know, Burt Mustin, what about that guy, you know? And then just because he lived long, that doesn't mean anything, right? That's just one guy. You can't, just because Burt Mustin lived long, you're all of a sudden...
You did your master's thesis on this, didn't you? Now, did people bother you a lot when you're smoking? Were people pissed off when...
Yeah, people don't like when you smoke, you know. They're bothered. Like, I gotta admit, though, secondhand smoke is bad. Like, I don't like... When I smoked, I didn't like secondhand smoke. Yeah. You know? I like that first-hand smoke because you get to suck it right out of the cigarette, you know? And the secondhand... Any fucking thing that's already been ingested by someone is not as good, you know? You know what I mean? Like a pork sandwich is delicious, but after a digested pork sandwich, that's fucking shit. You know?
You can't fight that logic, Norman. You cannot. Do you think advertising brings kids to smoking? You know, there's a lot of fight with the Joe Camel thing. Do you think they really?
Yeah, definitely they got it. Because the thing is this, the advertisers, they got to go after kids because they're not going to get adults. Like, there's not going to be a 50-year-old guy going, hey, I should start smoking. That goddamn Camel. Look at him. They gotta get little children.
Joe Camel.
Yeah.
That's a frightening-looking beast.
He looks like a cock. I didn't make this up.
And I know you don't mind first-hand cock, but...
You don't know that. Don't say that. stuff happens, man. Because a buddy of mine worked on Saturday Night Live, and he said he was a fag once as a joke. And then he said everybody comes up to him saying, "Are you a fag?" Gay man, I mean.
Show about smoking. They thought you meant the British word for cigarette. All right.
Exactly. Can I bum a fag? That's what they say in England.
Where else? All right.
The thing about Joe Camel looking like a cock, Dennis.
Oh, yeah. I lost my train of thought. Thanks for bringing me back.
Is this. This is what I've noticed. He doesn't even look like a fucking camel. He looks so much like a cock. Because you know how it's usually subliminal?
Yeah.
Where you have to find the cock, right? This character, you have to find the goddamn camel.
Yeah, believe me, when you only get 2 humps out of a cock, it's not worth smoking. All right, now, line 2, we got a phone call for you. Although I can't believe they'd still be on the line after this departure. Line 2, we've got Beverly from Middletown, Ohio. Beverly?
Yeah, hi, Dennis. Hi, Norm.
Hi, you didn't know my name, I don't think.
Yes, I did. I watched Saturday night.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
I liked it when Dennis was on it.
Yeah, I do too. I watch Dennis every Friday.
Get out of here. You're great at that, man. You're great at this. You know why? Because you don't give a shit about Dennis. You know what I mean? It's like the best thing you can do. Whenever I'd go on, they'd go, "What's it like following Chevy?" And I like Chevy. He makes me laugh. And what the fuck do I think about Chevy? I'm trying to make a living here.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
When I see you, I know you're thinking the same thing. Like, screw Dennis. I'm killing. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, since nicotine is such an addictive drug, do you think someday you'll have to have a prescription to buy a pack of cigarettes?
Well, you know, they always bring up the Constitution and talk about how we should still have the right to a militia and all that. But let's face facts, this country was built on tobacco growers. So, you know, if you're going to start changing, if you're not going to change one thing because it comes from way back then, you can't change this either. There are farmers out there who make a living. Tobacco is one of the crops that got this country going. So, no, I don't think they'll ever make it illegal.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't make it illegal. I know.
I think Norm's backing me up on that. What motivated you to quit?
Well, I guess, you know, I read this thing about how it was like a phallic symbol, and my doctor went in, he said, "You probably have an oral fixation," which, you know what that means. Let's not kid ourselves, right? So, that's why I always smoke, like, cigarettes instead of cigars, because if I'm going to have I like a little white thin cock, you know?
Are we back to cocks again, huh? I go away to Ohio, Middletown, the center of the universe, to take a nice clean call, and then I space out. I'm thinking, I can't listen to Norm for a second. I got to get a time cue here. I come back, and you're talking about having a thin white cock in your
I don't have a thin white cock. In my cock, you mean?
No.
In my mouth. No, you misunderstand. What I'm saying is this. I'm just saying
don't make the mistake of thinking I fucking listen to you.
I just want to make it clear about that cock thing. I was just saying, if I ever was gay, if they, like, suddenly made it mandatory or something, then I would choose the smallest cock, and I would like a guy that came fast. I don't know. I thought the subject was cocks.
No, cocks is next week.
I'm sorry. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Norm Macdonald, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around.
Luckily, we have the good taste to bring tonight's guest back. Every season, he is as uncensored a wit as they come. His new sitcom, The Norm Show, is on ABC Wednesdays at 9:30. Please welcome George Wendt, ladies and gentlemen.
They thought they were getting...
Georgie Wendt!
Yeah, they just
Norby!
How you doing, man?
How are you?
I'm all right. How's it going?
Year in, year out, my favorite guest.
Ah, you're a good man.
Because you have no inner barometer of how far to go.
Well, no, because it's HBO. I like to be dirty, you know, and it's fun.
You know what you are? You're like a profane child. That's how I think of you, because you always say, I like to be dirty. Then you go up on this Pynchon-esque cock rant for like 3 minutes. Yeah, cocks are ugly, and Joe Campbell's a cock, and you're always shuffling your feet. What are you nervous about? You're a star, for Christ's sake. How's that sitcom world? Is that hell, or do you like that over there?
It's not a lot of fun, but, you know, it's good to do.
No, it's not on Ohlmeyer's. Has Ohlmeyer sent you a congratulatory telegram, or what word am I looking for there?
Ohlmeyer, I haven't heard any missive, I think.
Who's the Ohlmeyer at your network?
This lady, Jamie Tarsis.
She think you're funny?
Yeah.
Ohlmeyer's not even there anymore, isn't it? Isn't one of his last official duties to whack you?
Yeah. He took off, and they got this other guy, I think it's maybe Sammy Sosa.
Scott Sassa.
Scott Sassa.
All right, now I want to do a Rorschach thing. What flashes into your mind when I say bad taste? What do you find bad taste?
Well, there was this performance art guy, I remember in New York, that his whole big thing was he'd take a picture of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and then...
Oh, that Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then his whole act is he'd piss on it with his cock.
Wow, you know, at least he showed respect. He could have pissed with his, what, arm?
You're right. So I thought that was really and horribly bad.
That's over the line, as far as...
Yeah, because Jesus Christ, you know, he died for the guy's sin, and then the guy pisses on his picture. And it was a picture of Jesus dying for his sins. Like he was on the cross going, oh, I'm dying for the guy's sins. And then this guy's like pissing all over it. But, you know, when Judgment Day comes, he's going to have to face Jesus Christ of Almighty of Nazareth, you know.
And Jesus is going to say, hey, asshole, what's with the peeing on my picture?
That negates every other good thing he ever did, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't piss on my picture.
Yeah. You don't want to come up to the gates of heaven, God's leaning there with a nunchuck strapped around his neck, you know. How do you
go, I'll have some performance art for you while the fucking devil shoves some coal up your ass.
As I said before, the childlike outro, but effective. How do you define bad taste? Is it like beauty? Is it in the eye of the beholder, or what?
Yeah, it kind of is. You know, it depends on what people... Some people, like, get all upset over certain words. Like, they think that... Like, girls all the time, man, when I'm talking to them, like, if I go, hey, how about you and I, like, fuck, you know? and then the girl always goes, like, I don't fuck, I make love. I make love. And I go, I don't care, whatever you want to call it, as long as my dirty cock's involved, you know? I don't care. I'm not going to get in a semantic argument. You know, you can call it making a grilled cheese sandwich as long as there's a lot of me doing that
kind of thing. Now, what's the earliest into hitting on a woman that you've ever said, I want to fuck you? You give it a couple minutes, right?
I try to get into it pretty quick. You know?
So that trump card down. No, if you're in the game.
I don't, because I don't like, I don't ever ask them to, would you like to have dinner? I don't really like having dinner with them, or having a drink with them, or anything like that.
No.
You know,
so that's your sort of exchange with women is...
Yeah, I say, hey, how about you and me fuck? And then they go, no. And then they go, how about we have dinner? And I go, I don't like dinner, you don't like fucking.
So it's a pretty basic thing you have with women. Kind of a basic exchange.
I'm not good with
Now, Norm, have you ever done anything in your long and storied career that you consider specifically to be in bad taste as you look back on it? Maybe at the time you thought it was a good play, but you look back on it and you think that was in bad taste.
Well, sometimes, like in stand-up, I'll do jokes that are, like one time I was doing this thing in San Francisco and they were all gay people in the audience, they told me. So I figured I'd
do San Francisco?
Yeah.
No.
So I figured I'd do stuff about gay people so that they could relate to it.
Yeah, it's warm up. They love that.
And so I was talking about, because I went to this gay pride parade, and I saw in it there were these old men and old ladies like with these signs that said, "We are proud of our gay son," you know? And so I was saying, that's an odd thing to be proud of, you know, because it's not an achievement, you know? It's not like something you work all your life to be gay or anything like that. And I just wondered, I had a hard time believing that these 50, 60-year-old men are actually bragging, you know, at work like they're, "Hey, Bill, you know, my kid, oh my God, we're proud of him, Johnny. He graduated from Harvard, you know, first in his class, you know what I mean? And now he's articling over at a law firm, and, oh yeah, he loves cock." You know? This kid, he can't get enough cock in his mouth, his ass, his kid's always cock. I got a picture of the boy here sucking another man's cock. I want to show it to you.
What do you do with your son?
I play with him.
You do. How old is he now?
How old is this young man?
He's 15 years old.
15 years
You're still
old.
playing with him.
Right.
You know, it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
When he was a very young boy, you know, when he was like 3, 4, or something like that, I would play games with him. You know, like we'd play basketball or something.
Sure.
And I'd let him win.
Right.
You know. And now he can beat me at everything. And so he's like, "Hey, man, I always beat you at everything." I said, "No, fuck, I used to let you win." He go, "Fuck, he doesn't believe it."
He always beat you.
Yeah, so he just thinks I'm some retard that can't beat a fucking infant. Well, it's
albeit a bad one, but nevertheless.
Just sad. It was all happening in Canada, you know.
Canada.
You know,
You can't talk about it because it happened in Canada?
No, I'm saying,
you know what happens in Canada stays in Canada. But seriously, what led to
you want to hear a joke from my act?
Yes. I do.
He must have done something really bad.
No, it's about that whatever happened in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Go ahead. Yeah, I want to hear
that fucking whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
So actually, it doesn't really stay. Like you can't. It's not like you can kill a person and then leave Vegas and everything's cool. You know what I mean? So what I did was I looked at that phrase. What it actually means is basically you can go to Vegas, fuck a prostitute, and then she will not tell your wife.
Right. That's exactly
what they're saying.
You're saying
not like those gossipy small town whores.
You're saying
back to where you come from. I'm saying back at home, they're blabbermouths.
You're saying, in other words,
they're sitting in the beauty parlor going, "Oh, you're married to Hank Johnson? I fucking shit on his face last night."
In other words,
it's a small world.
There are certain people who literally.
So what did Gilbert do? I read in the computer that Gilbert said something back at Affleck or something.
Well, I don't. You know, Gilbert is not the type to apologize for anything he says, but I think it cost him a lot of money. The Affleck gig was easy. Once a year he goes in, acts like a duck, and he makes a ton of dough.
And he doesn't even have to say anything but Affleck.
Hey, you're right, Affleck. So you know, he didn't know Affleck, I guess, has 75% of their business in Japan. And they got a bit offended by what was going on. So
I did an audition for it.
Did you really?
Did you?
It seems like everyone is being auditioned
now,
for the Affleck
what did you do? Did you try to sound like Gilbert, or did you try to change the duck?
They said I have only been on like 5 auditions in my life, and everyone's been a fucking nightmare.
You don't strike me as an auditioning kind of guy.
I'm the worst fucking ever. So I go in, and then the woman goes like, I just thought I'd have to say Affleck once.
Right, that's easy.
So she goes, "Listen, I want you to create a story. Like, that's what I want you to do. Like, you just think of the duck, be quizzical and funny and then sarcastic and then serious and then sexy. And she goes, just create a story. Have fun. They all say, fucking have fun with it.
No, this is my work. There's no fun here.
So then, like, 3 seconds in, I'm like, I want to get the fuck out of here. I ain't gonna be the fucking duck. So she left, and then there's just me and a guy with a hat. So I said, listen, man, I'll just say Affleck and get the fuck out of here. Because, I only got so many fucking moments in my life.
Right. You got a life to live.
Yeah, so have you ever been in that situation? You never have been because you have complete freedom. But it's me, a guy with a hat. He's telling me how to say Affleck. I'm saying Affleck. I'm going, I don't have that many years left.
It dawned on you that this is actual.
This is time.
Like if a doctor told you had 3 weeks to live, you'd say, God, I'm spending too much time here.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you go to psychiatrist?
Yeah. Do you go to psychiatrist?
I went for 4 times.
I could see you'd be difficult.
I started making up shit.
Right.
And it was like
routines.
bad.
Did you feel you had to be
routines, but I'd exaggerate things, and then I go, well, no, it wasn't that bad.
So it was hard for you to take yourself seriously in therapy.
The first time I went was here in New York, man. I went to a fucking apartment. It was in an apartment.
Is this during Saturday Night Live years?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was fucking addicted to gambling and shit, so that's why I went. But anyways, I go to this.
You're not addicted anymore to that?
You went and got cured?
I got cured.
Yeah, look at him. He's cured. He's only gambling $100,000 a hand now.
So the lady. So it's a lady. It was a lady.
Yeah.
A lady psychiatrist.
Yes. Attractive?
No.
Thank God.
Man.
You're such a seductress. I could see you.
Like the things at the bottom of the fish tank?
Yeah.
Like that.
The sucking fish?
Yeah, she looked like that. But she was a nice lady.
Like a flounder.
And smart from the universities and shit, right?
Did someone recommend you? Someone from Lorne Michaels say this
Somebody said go to this lady. So I go in, right? And I've never been to no psychiatrist. So she starts asking me questions. And I'm making little jokes and shit, right? Everything she's asking. So she says, enough with the fucking jokes. What's that shit, right? Don't do jokes.
Right, take it seriously.
You're talking about your father and stuff, and you're making jokes.
Right.
Like, say really what it is. So I go, I never did that in my life, right? So I'm like, all right. So then I'm talking. So then cut to fucking 25 minutes later, tears streaming down my eyes. I'm fucking like a fucking little fag baby, right? I don't know if babies are fags. I don't know. But I'm crying and shit, right? And then she's like, okay, time's up. Beat it. Yeah. So I'm like, whoa. I go, no, please. I go, I'll pay you more. Just I have to stay here, right? And she's like, there's another lady. Get out, So I'm like, ah. So then I walk out in the cold New York, with the hot dog vendors. They don't give a fuck about you. Tears. And I go through Central Park shaking. And here's a story about Rodney, man. He was fucking guy. Kept doing coke and shit, even when you get scared at some point. You stop doing drugs.
Yeah.
Right.
Most humans.
Not him.
This fucker, 80, whatever he was, doing all kinds of shit. Saga told me the story, right? So he's in the hospital, and he's got a fucking brain tumor that's going to cause a heart attack. All this crazy shit, right?
Right.
So everybody's worried about him. Just leaves the hospital 2 days later, right?
Walks out on his own.
Yeah, so he's in the Comedy Store with 2 hookers, and he's waiting for Ron Jeremy to show up.
Oh my goodness!
So this is 2 days later.
Yeah.
So Saga told me he walked in, he was like completely shocked. He said, "Rodney, how you doing, man? Well, what's going on?" He goes, "How are you doing?" And Rodney goes, "How am I doing?" He goes, "I'm sitting here with 2 whores waiting for a guy who can suck his own dick. How you doing?"
Still very quick.
Yeah.
He was a genuine character. I know guys who went into meetings with him about a movie.
Yeah.
He'd show up late in a bathrobe with his balls hanging out.
Yeah.
And like legitionary stories of it. You talk about not giving a fuck. You worship that. You want to be that guy who doesn't give a fuck, right?
I met Rodney, man, when I was fucking. I made the worst mistake ever, which I was in the fucking hotel, and I loved Rodney and shit. I didn't know him. And I was coming down in the casino. I was coming down the fucking elevator, and Rodney was in the elevator. I'm like, oh my God, it's Rodney. I gotta say something to him. So anyways, I'd worked on some stupid fucking thing with this director who said he worked with Rodney.
Yeah. So
I used that as a thing, right? So I go, hey, Rodney. I go, we have a common friend. He goes, who's that? I go, Paul Johnson. He goes, that cocksucker. He goes, that fucker's no friend. And there's a full elevator. That fucker's no friend of mine. You tell him he can suck my dick. I'm like, oh, I'm not not his friend. I'm not his friend.
And, you know, you hear these stories that Rodney was sort of a bitter guy because he made it late in life and all that. But yet he was a sweet guy because
he helped everybody.
I mean, he did something for me that I'll never forget. Like, I appeared on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno back when I would work with that scumbag. Yeah. I'm just fucking. He's a great guy. Anyway, anyway, I went on The Tonight Show, and Rodney called me at my house. Now, I didn't know Rodney. And he just says, "Hey, Howard, I just want to tell you, you know, when I used to do shows, no one ever called me. No one ever said I did good. I knew what you were doing up there. You were great. You were doing a great job."
Cool.
And I was like, wow, Rodney, dangerous. I mean, because he's the guy. You know, if he thinks you did okay, I must have done okay. You know? So what a tremendous, nice thing to do for somebody.
Unbelievable. Well, I met him on Saturday Night Live because he came and did, you know, when I did Update, he came and did some jokes on his 75th birthday. So we have to do dress first at 8:30 and then at 11:30 the show, you know?
Right.
So he comes and he's like, "Hey, Norm, I got to fucking talk to you," you know? So I go in and I'm like, "Mr. Dangerfield, it's great to meet you." That's the first time I ever met him. He goes, "Listen, man." He goes, "What the fuck, man? Why am I doing it at 8:30, you know? I know my fucking jokes. I'll just come back at 11:30. I go, "I don't know how it works, Rodney. You got to do it." He goes, "God damn." He goes, "Let me tell you something, kid." This was his advice to me.
Kid.
He goes, "Let me tell you something, kid." He goes, "This fucking TV shit, you know?" He goes, "This waiting around all the fucking time. It's a bunch of shit. You know, it's shit." He goes, "It's the same with fucking movies, you know? You're in the movie, and then you're in the fucking trailer all the time. That's all you're doing is fucking jerking off in the trailer, you know?" He goes, "It's all shit, kid." He goes, "Remember this and remember it forever. Stand up, man. That's all there is. Stand up."
And he meant it.
Then there's a fucking, 5-minute pause. He's looking me right in the eyes. He goes, "Stand up, shit."
He forgot. It's all shit.
Oh, my God. Okay, well.
A negative guy. Yeah.
I'll tell you the time I went to fucking, you know, this guy Milos Forman.
Yeah, he's a big director.
So he saw me on Saturday Night Live, so he got the idea I was smart.
I always thought that.
Everybody always thought that.
Because I'm reading the news and shit like that. So he's, "Come to we go out to eat at Nobu and some shit, right?" And so I go with him. So it's me, him, and two guys from two foreigners.
Right.
And so these guys know everything, you know? And so they're like, "What about the situation in the Balkans or something like that?"
Yeah, you're the newsman.
So I'm just sitting there like a retard. They know everything, right?
Right. They're concerned.
Yeah.
Right.
So he thought, and I just kind of play along, like by repeating what they'd said 3 sentences ago.
Right, yeah.
And so anyways, he goes, "I put you in the movie, man. I need a guy to..." And he was going to give me a big part.
Right.
So I was like, no, don't do that. Like, I can't act. And he's like, "Don't worry about it." I go, "Seriously, Milos, I don't want you to give me a big part." So he's like, "What do you want?" I go, "Just give me a small part. That'd be cool." So he made me a reporter, right, in this People versus Larry Flint.
Right,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. I played one of the people.
Right.
So
originally, I think it sounds like you were about to be Larry Flint. Right.
Oh, my God.
Hey, I'm Larry Flint.
I have stories about that fucker,
Right.
too.
Yeah.
But we go to, we do the movie, right? And I'm a reporter, you know. So he goes, "You know, you drive up and get out of the car and run in." I go, "Well, I can't drive." He goes, "Oh." So he goes, "Okay, a cab will drive you." So it doesn't make sense, like a reporter's in a cab. So I get to, so we do the scene. It's me and Larry Flint, you know. Me and Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
So, you know, he has all these cameras. He goes, "Okay," you know, he goes, "You don't have to worry too much about the script. Just, you know," he's a really cool guy. And he goes, "Just whenever you're ready, do it," you know. So then, anyways, Woody Harrelson's really cool. And fucking actors, man, when they're really good, it's like something different.
Right.
You know? And because I'm just waiting for the other fucker to stop talking and hoping, God, I remember
You're
my
not even
line.
paying attention.
No, I'm just hoping to remember my words. So anyways, fucking what's his name? Woody Harrelson asked me if I want a beer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "You want a beer?" I go, "No, it's cool. I don't drink, you know." He goes, "You don't want a beer?" I go, "No, I don't drink, but thanks, man." And then I go, "You drink? Like, I thought you just smoke weed and all that shit." And then all of a sudden, Milos Forman goes, "Cut! What the fuck is going on?" Like we were in the movie.
You didn't know.
No.
You thought he was talking to you.
Because he was looking at me and talking like a regular person.
Oy vey.
There was nothing fake about it.
You got caught up in the movie.
He was such a good actor.
You said you'd rather play Frogger than have sex.
Oh yeah, well you have to know Frogger, you know, it's a game. It's an arcade game where a little frog has to go across the river.
Yeah.
And they have like little logs that he has to, and sometimes the log's a crocodile and tries to eat him.
You're like totally into that?
Yeah, well, I like a lot of things better than sex. I don't care for sex that much.
See, that's the thing with me, too, because I'm totally bored. I don't have any, what's the matter?
Yeah. It hasn't, like, gotten better over the centuries, you know? It's always the same thing. It's very, like, I had sex when I was a young man, and then I had it for a while, and then I realized it's kind of always the same thing, you know? There's only a few things you can do. You can go like this and then over, you know what I mean? You go, I'll do this for a while and then...
Do you think that we're being drugged by the government to lose interest in sex?
Oh, no, I just think it's a thing that, like, you know, when people go, hey, you know, that guy's he's good in bed, you know? And to me, like, how hard is it? You know? It's not like if you're good in badminton or something, you know, that's a hard thing, badminton. You gotta, and Frogger, you know? But sex, you can figure it out in like 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah, and like goats do it and stuff. You know, like goats and pigs and stuff all do it, so how special can it be?
Exactly. Show me a goat that can get past the 3rd level of Frogger.
That's right, Nora! That's right!
The writers write it, and then you say it, so then if it's not funny, the audience hates you, you know?
Right, that's exactly why you have to be so mean to writers.
Right. Like the audience is going to watch the Roseanne show and go, oh, that dirty Bruce Rasmussen, he's not funny at all. Right?
They don't get that. Yeah. The writers don't get that. It's your ass out there. They go like, no, it is funny. I'd be like, I don't think it's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote it, and I say it's funny. Well, then you go out there and say it. They want they kind of want a robot that'll just say anything.
Yeah, but they're good people, the writers, you know. I have to go back and talk to them after the show.
Yeah, remember when I used to make y'all wear numbers?
Yeah. Yeah, Roseanne made us all wear numbers on our shirts so she wouldn't have to speak to us as human beings. So, you know, she'd say, hey, just number 9. And actually, we have some writers on this show that worked at Roseanne, your show.
Yeah, so...
We have 3 and 8.
Are they any good? I remember those guys. Are they any good now?
Oh, yeah, they're great. They're great.
So...
Yeah.
I know that the guy that used to write the, what do you call it, in Hustler magazine...
What?
He used to write the jokes, the captions under the comics in Hustler magazine.
Where is he?
He's the one that created your show.
He is?
He's the most talented. Yeah, he's the most talented of all of them. He also did Drew Carey. He's the most talented number I ever had on that show.
Yeah.
And I wish him the best.
Yeah,
and
he's Bruce Halford. Yeah, 3.
Yeah, he started out at Hustler magazine.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Those things were hysterical. He never told me that. You mean like the really dirty cartoons with the blood and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have those captions. They were funny.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
That one time I had a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Like, and because they told me I should go see a psychiatrist. I didn't want to go see one or anything like that. But so I go to see this dude, the psychiatrist, and I'm talking to the guy, and I couldn't think of any problems or anything that I had. You know, I was just like, guy I'm working with is kind of a troublemaker, you know, and the boss is always. So I'm just like, nothing to say, and the guy's like sitting there, you know. So then I go to the guy twice, right? And then I'm reading the paper. The guy kills himself.
Really?
Yeah, he killed himself. And then I was reading his horrible life, like he was on all these drugs, and he was one of those guys that like to hang themselves there to have sex, and all this weird stuff. Anyway.
Oh, my God!
Yeah, and then I just kept thinking, good God, like the last week of his life, he was listening to my boring problems, you know? He's all troubled, and I'm going, anyways, the guy, you know, I don't think he respects me, my boss, you know?
That's kind of, did like that, how deeply did that frighten you? When you read it in the paper that he killed himself.
Yeah, I don't like hearing about guys killing themselves.
That's really scary, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially a psychiatrist, you figure they got it all going on in their head, right?
Yeah. And then, like, when you find out they're crazier than you.
Yeah. I don't like that. Because I don't like those psychiatrists, too. I'm always afraid, like, that, you know, they get you under their spell there.
Yeah,
and then,
they do.
And then you don't have anybody else. You only trust the guy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, first thing he does is have sex with you.
That's right. Yeah, the first, it's like a cult. It's a horrifying cult, I think.
Same with hypnotists. Like, I always think if a hypnotist is going to hypnotize you,
yeah,
he should say right before, I promise I will not have sex with you, you know, while you're under, because, you know, I want to give up smoking, but at the same time. I've got some pizza.
Oh, boy. Oh, I love this pizza.
Yeah, it's pizza.
Dairy pizza. Oh, my God, look at it.
It's kosher pizza.
It's so good, too.
Because you're Jewish.
That's right. I just want to be able to eat pepperoni that's made out of veal or something.
Oh,
I
no.
love that.
You'll go to hell.
What, if I eat pepperoni with pork?
Yeah, because you're Jewish.
Will that make me go to hell?
Yeah, isn't that the whole idea?
Go to hell?
No, I'm Christian. I can eat any kind of pizza and not go to hell.
For eating it either.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't go to hell.
Well, they don't specifically mention pizza in the Old Testament, but it's
But they do mention pepperoni.
Yeah. This pizza here.
But it doesn't say you'll go to hell. It just says, you know, you never know where, you know.
You might want to avoid this piece. Actually has hooves on it. You want to eat that? And I said, listen, man, because I kept hearing these things about how old people always have sex.
Yeah.
So I said to my grandmother, grandfather, you still have sex with my grandmother? He was like, good Lord, no. And then he was explaining it to me. He was like, because in his own head, he thinks he's like a young dude.
Yeah.
You know? And so he says, like, when you get old, it's not like all of a sudden your taste change where you go, hey, that wrinkly old lady looks good.
He told you that?
Yeah.
Wow. He said that people still look good when they're in their 20s to, like, real old guys?
Yeah, yeah. Because he said whenever he looked in the mirror, he was always shocked because he thought he was like a doughboy back in the First World War. You know? He thought he was a handsome dude. And even if he did know he was ugly, he still was not attracted to the old bags.
Norm Macdonald is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Great to see you, Norm.
Hey, Adam. Hey,
Teresa.
Hi, Norm. How you doing?
Norm's going to be at the Bray Improv tomorrow. That is Thursday through Sunday. 2 shows on Friday and Saturday. Feels like a tall order for Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a donkey ride to heaven.
Sure will be. Hey, Norm, I don't know if you can remember this story, but somebody, I think, told it to me about you gambling, coming in late, and calling for a wake-up call that was probably just a few minutes after you went to bed. Do you remember that story?
Yes.
How did that story go? I remember laughing hysterically, but I don't remember all the details.
It was back when I was drinking, and I was really drinking a lot. And I was gambling and everything, and then I went up to the room and I said, I phoned down to the, I'm trying to remember, I phoned back down to the front desk and I said, listen, give me a wake-up call for 6 o'clock. And I was like, oh, it's 5 to 6. And I said, I better let you go. You'll be dialing soon.
Norm, it's like Ty Pennington got to your head and made you over. The last time I saw you, you had a gray beard.
Oh, yeah.
You really...
Why did you say I was sober? I don't drink.
Wow. You don't drink?
I don't drink and I don't do drugs, but it's an odd thing.
Really?
Yeah, I don't do anything.
Hold on,
You've never been a drinker?
Oh, I have in the past when I was a young boy, but I get scared, like, you know, when you're young, do anything, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you don't think you're going to die, so when I was young, people just hand me pills, I'd eat them, and then I got older, And I was like, God damn, man, I'm going to die. I'm not going to do nothing.
Right.
So,
but you still gamble. That's a vice, right?
It's a vice, but it's not life-threatening in any way.
Right, unless your bookie kills you.
Right. It's quality of life threatening, arguably.
I'll tell you something, bookies don't really kill you.
They don't. They want their money back.
They want to make a deal.
Norm,
I had a bookie take all my money, and because I won so much, and then my buddy's like, oh, man, you got to break his leg and stuff, right? And I'm like, what? I'm already out all this money. I'm not going to...
Yeah, you won a bet. What was it, like $100 grand or something?
Yeah,
and it just didn't pay off.
Now, what were you betting on? Were you betting on football? What was
football mostly, yeah. But it became crazy where it was like basketball every single day.
So, Norm, you have not had a drink in how long?
Well, first of all, I'm not an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm. That's
so I don't count
the first thing alcoholics say.
No, alcoholics count the days of they know how long it's been.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll go to a party, a guy will go, hey, what do you want to drink? I go, just give me a water. And then they'll go, are you alcoholic? And I'm like, no, man, you're the guys that are drinking.
Right.
You know, I want a water. And they go, oh, yeah, no, we understand.
So you don't...
all right, I'll drink.
So you don't...
I'll get drunk out of my mind and barf all over myself if it'll take away the stigma of being an alcoholic. But I knew a friend, man, that some guys can get any women they want.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm sure you know the type, you know. It's not like they're incredibly handsome or anything, but just somehow they have something about them. And my buddy Bill,
yeah,
this guy could get any lady. I'm telling you, literally had sex with a different woman every night. I asked him, I said, what's your secret, you know? He said, I'm a serial rapist.
Stop. Did you say that on The View the other day when you were on The View?
I didn't go on The View. They don't want me on there.
I thought you were on The View.
No, they don't like me anymore.
Why won't they have you?
Well, one time they wanted me to go on The View, right? So I was like up all night, like for a long time, because I was in my gambling days and stuff like that. And so the guy kept phoning me, the producer of The View, you know?
Yeah,
and,
Bill Geddes.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah. And so he kept having like funny ideas I could do, you know?
Right.
Like they have those guys. You know?
Right.
So
here's a funny idea. Let's not talk about rape. Like ideas like that.
Is that bad?
No, it's fine with me. It's just funny. It strikes me with Norm and with me sometimes. You talk to producers about funny ideas maybe you shouldn't be doing.
Oh, they do that.
More do nots than do's.
Yeah, they do that. They go, hey, don't swear on The View like you're going to swear. Like
right.
You're that retarded.
Here's an idea for your segment. Don't use the N-word.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? How did you end up offending?
So anyways, the guy kept following me with these crazy like ideas. He'd go like, hey, why don't you come out with like a red wig on? And I'm like, why would I do that? And he goes, the gals are teasing Barbara about her new hair tint. I'm like, yeah, that seems all right. You know, because I'm trying to be nice. I have a hard time saying no, you know. So yeah, maybe. He goes, and then so finally I go, I'll think of something, you know. So and I'm at a poker table the whole time talking to him, and, you know, because I used to play for like 70 hours straight. And so he keeps phoning. He's like, I got it, man. He's like, you carry out a cell phone onto the show, right? And then he goes, halfway during the show, your cell phone rings, you know? And it's your agent, Morty, you know? So you pick it up, you're like, hey, man, I'm on The View. This is no time to talk here, Morty. You know, he goes, Morty's not on the line. You just pretend, you know.
Right.
And, this is a terrible time, Morty. I'm on the TV, you know. So I go, oh, yeah, that sounds good, you know, with no intention of really doing it.
Right. Now, what time did you go to bed that night?
I didn't go to bed, so I'm driving to the stupid View, right? And I go, I had this story about Cosby, so I go, I'll do that story about meeting Bill Cosby, you know? So I show up, and they put makeup on, I go, what are you going to talk about? I go, I'm cool, man, just tell them, do you ever meet Bill Cosby? So as I'm walking in, the producer, unbeknownst to me, slips the cell phone in, you know. He goes, remember our bit? And I go, yeah.
You got out of the red wig, though.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have to do that. This is a lot. Got to be a long story. But what happened was,
it's good, though.
I went on to The View, and, you know, they're supposed to just talk to you. Now, this was when, this was a long time, but this was when President Bush was, he wasn't the president. He was running for the presidency. Right?
Right.
So I don't know nothing about politics.
Right.
But Ben Stein had called me, and he said that, you know Ben Stein? So, you know, like, when Clinton came, like, there was, like, 10,000, like, Streisand and Schwarzenegger, everybody, you know, showed up. And then when Bush showed up, it was just me and Ben Stein.
He used to be a speechwriter for Nixon.
Yeah, that is a very sobering homecoming for Bush. Just Norm Macdonald and Ben Stein at the airport.
Good God. I got to talk to him for a half hour in the Air Force One. Anyway, the story is I go on The View, and as soon as I get on The View, I'm all tired and everything. I'm like, all right, ladies, what's going on in the news? Bill Cosby? What's going on? And so all of a sudden, they show a picture of me standing next to George Bush, who's running for presidency, and they go, hey, check this out. Whoa, Norm, like, you know, as if it was a picture of Kurt Waldheim standing beside Hitler in the woods or something, you know? And I'm like, they're like, what's this all about? You know, like I'm crazy.
Right.
And I go, I don't know. So just to get on their nerves, I go, well, it's better than that last guy, Clinton. He murdered a guy. And so then Barbara Walters like went all crazy, and she's like, what did you say, young man, you know? And I'm like, oh, I thought it was a matter of public record, like I just try to get more into it. I go, didn't he murder a guy? I heard he murdered that Vince Foster guy, and they pretended it was a suicide or something. And I'm like, isn't that a matter of public record? She's like, listen, you're treading on thin ice, mister. He should call me mister. I'm like, no, I thought he murdered a guy. I said it about 6 times, you know. So, and she's like, what about Bill Cosby?
To be fair to her, she thought you were Tim Meadows. To be fair to her.
So anyways, and so the whole audience is all in shock and awe and everything. They don't know how to react to this, all craziness. And all of a sudden, like, my cell phone rings, right?
You got the bit, yeah.
The bit. Morty's on the phone.
I'd forgotten about it. It was coming from the speakers. I didn't know what it was, like that. And so then it occurred to me, and I pull out the cell phone. I'm like, hey, Morty, this is a terrible time to call, right? So then Barbara Walters goes, what are you doing, you know? And I go, I don't know. So that retard in the back told me to pretend Morty was calling. And then she goes, she just stared at me for like 3 seconds. She goes, you are one piece of work, mister. Wow. And that was the end of that.
She just said it was Vince Foster calling from the beyond.
He's calling from hell. Says he'll see you soon. Norm's got a new CD out called Ridiculous. Norm, when we left off, we were talking about Bill Cosby and you never getting to tell your Bill Cosby story on The View, but you can certainly tell it here.
Oh, Bill Cosby? Well, I opened for Bill Cosby, and I was really excited, you know, because I'm a comedian, and he was like the first comedian I ever heard and everything, and I still love him, you know. And so I was real excited and everything, and and we're performing, oh my Lord, it was like an entire football field, right?
Well, where is it?
It was LSU. And, I'm sorry, it was Tulsa. It doesn't matter.
Right. You didn't have to correct yourself.
And so I get there, and so an entire football field and a little tiny stage, and I have no way of knowing how to, you know. So I'm like, you know, anyone have an answering machine? And then you're just, they're just talking to each other. You know? I have no idea of how to talk to this many people, you know. So they completely ignore me for the whole thing. But, you know, they don't hate me or anything. They just don't notice me.
They're ambivalent.
So I'm like, how on earth, you know? So I was interested in seeing how Bill Cosby would do it. So Bill Cosby lands in a helicopter like 10 minutes before, and he's wearing a sweatshirt, and I'm in a suit and everything, you know. And he says, why are you wearing the suit? I said, oh, Bill Cosby. He goes, college. He talks like just in words. He doesn't use He goes, college sweatshirt. And I'm like, okay.
Doing a Mad Lib.
So he gets up, and so he's a guy's a G. He's just stand beside the lady. He's not nervous at all, of course, you know. He says, anything going on in the school? She says, next week we play LSU, you know, we're Tulsa. He goes, it's okay, fine. And then they introduce me, walks out, and he goes, Tulsa! And everybody screams, right? And then he goes, LSU! And everybody boos. And then he goes, Tulsa! And everybody screams louder. And he goes, LSU! Exactly. So he says it about 5 times, every time slower. And now they're going up and down like they're in a lather, you know? Right. And then he goes, next week I will be performing LSU, and I'll be doing that bit backwards. They all laugh. It's amazing. But anyways, afterwards, so I talked to him, and I go, oh, man, you're the best. You know, I listened to you as a kid and everything with my dad like, was racist. but he loved you, you know. And I
It's
think
the ultimate compliment.
It is. It tempered like his racism and stuff.
Yeah, it's like telling a cow that your mom's vegan, but was willing to eat just you.
Cow.
Yes, that's how much she loves you.
Yeah, if you want to compare an African American to a cow. That would be a good analogy.
Well, you don't want to pick another animal, one that may climb a tree and eat bananas.
This is getting ugly. Let's.
All right, Norm, come on, reel it in.
So Cosby says to me, so I said, yeah, my dad loves you. He goes, where does your dad live? I go, Ottawa. So he turns to his agent, you know, whatever guy who was with him. He goes, Fred, am I not doing Ottawa? So he looks on his thing and he says, oh, yes, so Mr. Cosby, you're doing Ottawa in August. And he goes, get me the man, father. He says, so now I'll get your father front row seat afterward. He'll come back and talk with me, and I'll treat the man well. And I was like, oh, man, that's great. So he goes, get me a pen. The man needs a pen and a paper. Write down the phone number. And so I'm getting a pen and paper, and I realize my dad's dead, right? He's been dead like 10 years.
Well, 666 would be the area code.
He's a VIP.
Sorry, buddy.
So I go, oh, man, I don't want to now say my dad's dead and bring the whole conversation down.
Right, sure.
So I just write down 9 numbers, you know. Is it 9, 10? I know
You gave him a fake number for your dad.
He's a mathematical genius, Norm Macdonald, everybody.
I know the area code of where my dad lived. So anyways, I go, here you go. He'll enjoy it. He's alive, you know. The guy
he probably shouldn't have hit alive so hard.
Yeah, that's a tell.
So then, amazingly enough, first of all, this shows you how powerful people can find anybody, right? I was doing this lame thing on the Drew Carey show, and as a little guest star, you know. And the stage manager runs up. She goes, Bill Cosby's on the phone.
What?
He tracked you down.
Yeah, he can find anybody.
How long after you'd seen him on the field at Tulsa?
3 months later.
Mm-hmm.
So I get on the phone, and it's Bill Cosby. He's like, I found the number. The man is not, it's different than your father. The man is different. And I phoned twice I phoned the same man. And so I'm like, keep lying. I go, I'm sure that's his number. I don't know what to do.
Norm, couldn't he have died in the interim? You could have said he just died.
Oh, man, that's
savvy.
That's fast. That was fast.
The more you know.
How to lie to Bill Cosby.
So anyways, I did actually tell that story, and I was at Saturday Night Live. I told that story on a talk show, and the next day, man, I went into my office at Saturday Night Live, and there was about 600, flowers, whole big things of flowers. The office was, packed with flowers. It was so, crazy, and finally, on one of the little flowers, there was a little note, and it said, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you, but your father has long since died, Bill Cosby.
Wow.
So he was funny. He went to all that trouble to make a joke.
Wow, what a guy.
Seems like a great guy.
Sweet, man.
Well, I'd be a bad pimp. You be my girl.
All right.
You two be my girls.
Yeah. All right.
I'll be a pimp. Okay, listen, girls, I got to talk to you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hey, Sir Magic Norm.
Listen, I don't you guys have had attitude against me.
Well, I just feel like you've been taking a lot of our money.
A lot of you have not been paying me.
What?
Huh? You know I have the knife. I know you guys have never seen it.
Uh-huh.
But I'm the ones that found you at the bus stop and let you sleep on my couch.
Yeah, that wasn't much of an upgrade. Especially with your constant raping.
Futon.
Yeah.
Listen,
I've had a good night of
that was
sleep.
part of the deal. I thought that was the unspoken. But anyways, I want some of the money. Look, it doesn't have to be 90-10.
I don't know.
I understand the 90-10 was a little usurious on my part. But how about 50-50? You get to sleep here.
Cheryl, what do you think? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I really have a knife.
The cost of living for a prostitute
I'm
is going
starting
up.
to think you guys don't believe I have the knife.
I haven't seen your knife.
But you've heard stories.
Well, only from you.
That I cut that girl? That's a true story. I wasn't making that up.
I talked to Cindy.
Oh, you know that you met Cindy?
Yeah, she said
she's
you never.
A liar.
She said you never cut her.
She's
She
a
said
liar.
she got in a
She said
car
you
accident.
talked-
That's where the scar
Yeah,
came
she
from.
said you talked about the knife all the time,
I
but
could
she
get
never
a knife.
saw the
I
knife.
could buy a
That's what she
knife.
said you said to her.
Yeah, I could buy a knife easy. I know
Oh,
people.
well, now you got to buy a knife?
I know people.
Hold on. You said you had a knife. You have a knife, but it's in a catalog?
I know people that could get me a knife illegally.
Well,
that
that's
couldn't
like-
even be traced. I'd stab
But
you.
it's like me saying I have a swimming pool, but it's at someone else's condo.
What, you used to be afraid of me.
I'm not. Well, you don't even have a knife. You just said you could buy a knife.
You used to be so afraid of me when I
You
threatened
know, you said you'd beat me with a car antenna, but you don't even have a car. You drive a Geo Metro. That's not a pimp car.
You want to go to a bad guy?
I thought you were badass.
I've never hurt you.
But listen,
I've protected you from
my
everybody.
stepfather beat me, and
I've
that's why-
protected you. Haven't I protected you? Except for the two times. Except for the 2 times.
All right.
And those guys were big.
All right, but you promised to beat me, and that's why I was attracted to you, because of the history I have with my stepfather.
I know.
And
I
the
get
physical
uncomfortable.
abuse.
I get uncomfortable. But I push you.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't treat
pushing.
you nice.
You pulling lint off my sweater's not a push.
I said the other night that your lasagna was undercooked.
Yeah, I know, but so I gave you, and then that's because I gave you a middle piece. When I gave you an end piece, you said it was delectable.
And that thing you do where
Well,
you lick
that's
your
true.
finger to wipe the stains off our faces, we don't like that.
Yeah, we don't like the smudge thing.
I've become too close.
Look, we didn't get into this not to be beaten or threatened or to keep 90% of our booty.
How often do I mention the knife?
All right, and you reminding us to use condoms and to say thank you.
And you telling us we don't have to do what we don't want to do?
Yeah.
It's not helping our business.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to do any of this stuff. Listen, unless the guy's big, I'll protect you guys. If I can take the guy.
Remember when you invited us
I'm
to
not going to
stay-
stab a
With
guy.
your knife?
I'm not going to stab. No, I'm not going to stab a guy.
Well, you invited us to stay
you know what I
on
mean?
at your.
Sometimes he's just doing weird stuff, but it's not that weird.
But let me say this: you working out of your mom's house is awkward for both of us. Okay.
Yeah.
And sure, she's a delight, and she makes a great
And
rum
nobody's
pudding.
mentioned
but,
anything, right? This is a complete secret.
well, your mom. I mean, look. Let's. First off, you wearing Dockers and flip flops is no outfit for a pimp. We're gonna have to get you like made over. You drive a Geo Metro. You keep threatening your pimp hand, but you never laid a hand on either one of us. You're not verbally abusive. You're not physically abusive. I laid, by the way, the first 2 nights I spent on your mom's sofa. I slept with no underpants on, presenting. I wasn't raped once. You came by 2 times. You offered me milk when you went to the kitchen, and then another time you offered me postum. I don't even know what that is. You're just a bad pimp. Thank you.
The bad
And scene.
pimp.
And scene.
You know, Zuckerberg says he's only eating his own meat that he kills now. Have you read that?
With his bare hands.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg? The kid's a monster.
He tries to do one thing to alter his modern lifestyle every year. And this year he says he's only going to eat meat that he's actually killed. And I was wondering, what are you adhering to
I'm a
lately?
vegetarian, a strict vegetarian.
No, have you done that?
Well, I eat chicken.
What's not all that?
That's not
strict?
vegetarian. That's
Well, I'm not. I said I'm not strict. I eat chicken and
steaks.
beef. Pork. I ate raw game. Did you ever eat? It's not
There we go.
dead yet.
No, you're
And
over
you
there.
eat it, and as you're eating it, their death throes are making you hungrier.
There's nothing.
That's better than a soybean.
Yeah, you're right.
Which sounds better, that or soybean?
Listen, some of the best meals I've had is that Mongolian thing over at Dahmer's on Wednesday night. Literally, we ate a Mongolian.
Did I tell you I ate a live fish in real life?
No, no.
Yeah, I was at a sushi restaurant, and the guy's like Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go, I eat just sashimi, like raw fish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat with rice or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like trying to impress him. So he goes, eat raw, you eat live fish? I go, yeah. Even though I don't. And he goes,
Never think he's going to call you on it.
yeah, and I go, plus it sounds kind of cool. And he goes, I get you live fish. I go, thanks, man. Like I was an inside guy, and then he brought out a fish and hit it and knocked it out and put it on a stick. It was live. And that clears out a sushi bar. A lot of people, The girl I was in was barfing in a bathroom, and the only people interested was the guy, the Japanese sociopath guy, and all the Mexican help. They were all like looking like I'd eat it, and so I had to cut it. And then they leave the fish that's on the skeleton that looks like the one Sylvester found on a garbage thing. To move. It's moving and like a dead bobblehead, and you had to put water in its mouth to keep it alive so you could watch it die as you ate. It was a nice meal.
Jesus, I'm living such a hell life compared. I mean,
but anyways, here I am, a young lad auditioning for the Joan Rivers show when it was on.
Yeah.
It's the first time I ever came to the United States. Me and Howard Busgang.
Yeah.
And so me and Howard Busgang and Mario Cantone, Joan Rivers likes us all, you know. So we're at the Hyatt Regency, which is across from the Comedy Store, where we auditioned for Joan Rivers.
Yeah.
And it's me and Howard Busgang are in the room, you know, and Howard Busgang smoked marijuana at the time, you know.
Sure.
I don't.
Yeah.
You know? But he smoked marijuana, and I was watching.
Yeah.
And so I said, Howard, man, it's weird. You're just smoking marijuana all by yourself. Why don't you invite old Mario Cantone over, right? So he phones Mario Cantone's room. Mario Cantone goes, yeah, I'll come over. So he comes over like a minute later, all red-faced with his lover, right?
Yeah, okay.
He's also red-faced. They're drenched in sweat.
Okay, yeah. They've just been fornicating.
Yeah, they've been fornicating.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, we'll take some. So they take a quick, smoke this joint so that they'll enhance their orgasm later, right?
Right, sure, okay.
Then they give it back to poor Howard Busgang. And he's sitting there with this joint that has God knows what on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
so Howard Busgang, in an effort to be politically correct, even though they're gone, smokes the joint and gets full-blown AIDS. No. No, I just made up that last part. No, Howard Busgang's a great guy. He's doing a show right now.
Wow, yeah.
In Canada.
Well, let's... Why are we talking about me here?
If I asked you, Tom, would you give me $1 million if I cut off your leg? What would you say?
Wait, say that again.
If I offered you $1 million to cut off your leg, would you accept?
If you offered me $1 million
to cut off your right leg?
No, I would not accept that.
If I offered you $1 million to cut off your left leg, would you accept?
No, but...
What about if I offered you $1 million to cut off both of your arms?
No,
would you accept? You would not accept?
No.
So you're admitting to me that your arms and legs are worth more than $3 million. Then treat them like that. Treat them like that, for God's sakes. Treat them like that.
I would get $1 million each for each limb?
No.
Oh, because I would take that. I'd take $3 million for 2 arms and a leg. I'd do that. I'd take $3 million for 2 arms and a leg, but not $1 million for 1 leg. No, I could use $3 million. I'd sit around and watch TV all day. Tap my fingers on my one good hand. I'd have the remote, right? Yeah. No, I don't.
You lose your cock too.
Yeah. What? How much for chopping the cock off? You never mentioned that.
That was implied.
I actually have questions here. I actually have some questions.
Oh, you got some questions?
Yeah, let's
I said no questions.
Really?
No. This is what I saw after the trial. This is how stupid jurors are. After the OJ trial, I see this big fat woman that was on there. Because you tend to think of jurors as wise or something. I don't know why, but you tend to think of them as wise people, jurors.
Right.
But afterwards, they interviewed this one woman that was a juror, big fat woman. Doesn't have anything to do with anything. I guess. Her weight, but she was huge.
Right.
And
so she was smart. She probably would have known to not eat so many cheeseburgers.
Exactly. Right. So this fat pig, no. So they're interviewing her, And they're asking her about the blood evidence because Darden talked about the blood evidence for 6 straight days.
Yeah.
He introduced all this blood evidence that showed that, it was 1 trillion to 1 that it wasn't OJ, So they say, well, say this woman, they say, what about the blood evidence? Yeah. So she goes, everybody got blood. She goes, if it fit, don't fit, you must acquit.
Yep.
She remembered the rhyme.
Sure, the rhyming was what did it, I think.
A guy was telling me that, do you know the lawyer Jerry Spence? Are you familiar with that lawyer? He's from Colorado, and he wears a cowboy hat.
Wear cowboy hats all the time.
Fringe. He wears fringe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently in the closing arguments, you can say anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're not bound by anything. So I know this guy who worked at a law firm, and he said every time Jerry Spence would be the defense, he'd always get everybody off. And this is what he'd do. He'd say, no matter what the facts of the case were, he'd say, he'd talk about the case, and he'd go, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, before I go, I'd like to tell you a story. And then the prosecution would go, objection! Then the judge would go, let him tell the fucking story. So then he'd tell the story, and this was the story. He would go, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'd like to tell you a story about a young boy, a precocious young boy, that went up to a very wise old man. And the boy held in his hand a bird. And he said to the wise old man, he said, you're the wisest man that I know. I have a bird in my hand, and I'm going to give you a puzzle. If you say A, you can say A or you can say B. If you say A, I will let the bird go, or I will crush the bird. If you say B, I will let the bird go, or I will crush the bird. What do you say, old man? A or B? And the old man thought about it, and the old man looked at the boy, and he said, son, the bird is in your hands. Ladies and gentlemen, the bird is in your hands. And he said, 20 minutes later, they come back, innocent!
Sort of like a multi-purpose closing comment.
Yeah, it worked for everything.
Works every time.
Yeah.
That's good.
And so then the woman
formula.
that drowned her 14 children should get off because of the bird story.
Yeah.